Good afternoon, everybody. I can see that I have some new faces in my group today. So I'd like to take this time to extend to you my warmest welcome into our program. My name is Walter Salvador, and I am the teacher of this program. All right. So to begin our program today, I would like to go over our agenda. The very first thing to do here is to make sure we have the Google Classroom open so we can do the very first question to review our discussion from our last class. And the second item here is an important detail regarding what will happen on Thursday, which is a quiz, a formative quiz. This quiz is just a tool that I use to have a clear picture of where we are at as far as what you have understood so far, all right? And the other item here to be addressed is the form for our attendance, which is also alive now. So if you take care of that along the day-to-day, that will be really helpful as well, all right? Then that leads us to the last item in our agenda, which is the heart structure, which is the topic of our review program, all right? We have been taking time to discuss this over the past few lessons, and today we should just take time to emphasize a few of these elements, all right? So here we have a diagram of the heart on our right side, and at the left side we have a real mammalian heart, just to contrast the different structures, all right? So here, let's take a look over some numbers just to bring us into speed as far as work is concerned, all right? So looking at number 8, very clearly here, we see that this is the valve which leads to the aortic arch, all right? And right here, number 8, also in the real one, we can see that it's not really that easy to be seen in terms of its structure, but again, it's a very important element that we know, which is, of course, making sure that blood is flowing in one direction, all right? So I see here that Ahmed and Mohammed both have a question regarding this. You can see here that number 8, Ahmed, is a valve, and so is number 4, okay? So number 4 here, and number 5 as well. So these are basically tissues that are making sure that blood is flowing in one single direction, all right? We're going to discuss them in a more detailed manner later on when we make a reference to what can go wrong with those valves, okay? All right, so you can see here that this particular structure is very, very visible and thicker than this one here, okay? Now, I will make a clear reference to that in our next diagram, which I think is easier for us to do this comparison, all right? So bear with me there for a second, and I'm going to address that in a moment, all right? Okay, then look here. I just labeled A, B, and B. So let's go back over here so you can see what I'm referring to. So A here is this tissue here, okay? A very important tissue, normally referred to as the myocardium, and is the wall of the left ventricle, all right? And B would be here, okay? The wall of the right ventricle, okay? Now, going back to the lower section, what we see here, we see that A is much thicker than B, okay? So here you can see that the heart was divided in two sections, like in my hands here. I can make this, and then when I flip it open, I have here a symmetrical two halves of the heart, all right? So here we look at A, we see that it's much thicker than B. Can anybody tell me why that is so? I see here that Jonathan and Ahmed are about to share their answers. Thank you very much for doing that. Yes, that's very important to stress, Ahmed and Jonathan, that A since it is the wall of the left ventricle, it will pump blood into the aortic arch and the whole body. And our B here has a very shorter distance to pump blood to, which is the lungs. So basically, much shorter distance would require much less muscular structure to do so. And this is what we see here in this diagram, all right? When we discuss the impact of COVID-19 in the heart, we're going to see that this tissue here is where the virus is able to attach and, of course, interfere with the work of the myocardium, all right? So we're going to address that also in a detailed manner in our future lessons as well. Okay, all right. So basically here we have A and A being the left ventricle walls. We have D. D here is a very important structure as well called the septum. Let's go back here to our diagram at the top. So here we see this here will be the septum. And here we have it covered here as well, okay? Now the septum is also the tissue that separates both ventricle, but it's also where we have the bundle of His. Bundle of His, as you might recall, is very good, Jonathan, again. This is where we have the nerve structure that is involved in controlling the heart rhythm, basically the ventricular contraction, right? This goes all the way down D, all the way to A and B, making like a semicircle around this tissue, right? So I will share with you a document labeling those parts for us to emphasize their function as well, okay? So we have mentioned A and B and D as well. And X is what? Can you tell me the answer for this question, please? Let me call upon, could you please, Larissa? Correct, that happens to be a valve. I know that is not really very clear, very easy to pinpoint that is a valve, but if you look at the supporting tissue here, look, this indicates that it is a valve. Looking over here, the same tissue we find over here in this area, all right? Okay then, so I'll pause now and I will share with you some questions for you to address and reinforce this discussion. And then don't forget that I have today my office hour a bit longer, and I'll be very happy to see you there to discuss your doubts on this particular topic. All right? So again, don't forget to complete the forms and see you in the office hour for our discussion and further debate. Thank you for your time.